Hello, everybody. This is the American Music Fan, and I'm doing my second of the Beatles album review videos. I am still doing 2 videos per review until I get to the next album, Help. If you haven't already watched my Please Please Me with the Beatles or my Beatles box set reviews, I would recommend doing so if you would like. If not, totally fine. Because you are obviously here to watch a review of either A Hard Day's Night or Beatles for Sale. Both these albums came out in '64. Hard Day's Night came out in July. Beatles for Sale came out in December. We're going to begin by talking about A Hard Day's Night. This was the very first soundtrack to any film that the Beatles ever did. This is the Beatles' first film by the same name, A Hard Day's Night. It has A Hard Day's Night, I Should Have Known Better, If I Fell, I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, and I Love Her, Tell Me Why, Can't Buy Me Love, Anytime at All, I'll Cry Instead, Things We Said Today, When I Get Home, You Can't Do That, I'll Be Back. This was the third studio album put out by the Lennon-McCartney singing Beatles quartet from Liverpool. Yeah, great album. As follows the Beatles' repertoire of albums. A little bit of background on this album. It is obviously the first soundtrack to their film. It is the first album of theirs to feature all original material. While Paul McCartney was, a lot of the songs written on this CD were written at the Asher house when Paul McCartney was living with the Ashers, because he was dating Jane Asher at the time, of course. The film of this is a comedy film. I've only watched it once or twice. I own it. I own the deluxe edition, I think, on DVD. The 2-disc one with the silver case and stuff. It's a good album. My highlight is Tell Me Why, just because that seems to be kind of a darker Beatles song in a time where the Beatles were doing mostly lighter stuff. A Hard Day's Night, of course, is a classic, recognized as one of the Beatles' best songs. Can't Buy Me Love is one of those legendary ones with a great harmony by Paul and John, as usual. And all the other ones on here are great as well. As far as this album goes, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 as far as Beatles albums go. Like, a 1 for a Beatles album would be, like, better than just about any other album of all time. But as far as Beatles albums go, because I think the Beatles are here, all other music is here, and that's kind of how it goes in my brain, because the Beatles are so great. So I give this one a 3.5, which is the same as I gave Please Please Me. I consider these to be fairly equal. Next we have December of '64's Beatles for Sale. And I believe this album is very unfairly underrated. I believe it deserves a lot more credit than it gets. Some people call this the Beatles' least perfect album, and I really don't think so. There was a period of time, excuse me, that this was my favorite Beatles album. And with good reason, I believe. The disc of this is the same thing as it was on Hard Day's Night. Obviously, it says Beatles for Sale. This album has No Reply, I'm a Loser, Babies in Black, Rock and Roll Music, I'll Follow the Sun, Mr. Moonlight, Kansas City, Hey Hey Hey. Sorry about the the weird, it's not focusing. 8 Days a Week, Words of Love, Honey Don't, Every Little Thing, Don't want to spoil the party, what you're doing, and everybody's trying to be my baby. Sorry about the shoddy camera work there. My highlight is, well, obviously 8 Days a Week. Good harmonies in that song. You know what? All the Beatles albums have great harmonies, and I don't care what you say or think about the Beatles. Just about all the songs that they do harmonies on are fantastic. The highlight is 8 Days a Week. I love the bass line to that song. Boom 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 boom. I just like that kind of bass line. It's my favorite one to play too. Other than Lady Madonna. Otherwise, What You're Doing is really good. I'll Follow the Sun is a great McCartney song. If you look on YouTube, there's actually a very early recording of I'll Follow the Sun, like from way before this album actually came out. Like, I think it's like from Please Please Me era. So yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good stuff. Mr. Moonlight is John Lennon's song that I like. It's not often you hear an organ solo, and the Beatles pull it off really well. Paul McCartney singing Rock and Roll Music is a cover, but it's still just a really good song. I'm a Loser, kind of a, depressing song. Same thing with No Reply. This album is a little bit darker. I mean, you go from I Want to Hold Your Hand, She Loves You, and now we're singing about No Reply, Babies in Black, Mr. Moonlight, I'm a Loser, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. It just kind of, it got, all of a sudden it seems like it got dark. And as you can tell from the cover, they're not smiling. And George Harrison, Paul McCartney always talks about George Harrison's hairdo there, saying it looks like a parsnip or something. And I get it. It makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that was my second of the Beatles album reviews. These both had chart-topping hits, and both of them got to the top of the charts. So, next time I'll be reviewing Help. I give that one a 3.5. I give that one a 4. Oh, I'm very sorry about my coffee. Very sorry about that. But yeah, 3.5 for Hard Day's Night, 4 for Beatles for Sale. Both of them are tremendous albums, obviously, because they were released by the Beatles. So yeah. Anyway, until next time, just keep on rocking.